Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Davidson. I want to raise some concerns in a provision of the BEAD Notice of Funding Opportunity related to the labor and employment provisions. As you know, the only labor and employment requirements in the IIJA are that an applicant must demonstrate a record of compliance with labor and employment laws and certify they will continue to comply with those laws. This is the only requirement Congress included in this issue. My concern is that the NTIA has included a lengthy list of their own social engineering policies to promote and, in my opinion, mandate the use of organized labor. This includes prevailing wages, project labor agreements, union peace agreements, and union neutrality agreements. And to make matters worse, it seems that the Department of Commerce and NTIA are strong-arming states into accepting these provisions. Mr. Davidson, are you aware that the Arizona BEAD Volume 2 proposal includes project labor agreements, union peace agreements, and union neutrality agreements?
I've not actually had a chance to see that part of the Volume 2 provisions, and actually really can't comment on any specific proposal, but I understand the point that you're raising.
Well, so my next question then, are you aware that Arizona state law prohibits public contracts from using any of those types of agreements? Are you aware that Arizona is a right-to-work state?
I'm not surprised to hear that.
NTIA has publicly stated that the labor provisions I mentioned are just options for states to include, not legally binding mandates. But if a state is going to judge an applicant on their willingness to accept these provisions through the scoring system, applicants will be pressured to accept these provisions to ensure a competitive application. In effect, they will become a de facto requirement. Is NTIA encouraging or pressuring states to include these labor provisions as part of the scoring criteria as a way to backdoor your social engineering policies into BEAD?
The short answer is no. I think the longer, and I understand the concern that you're raising, we've tried to be quite careful and cognizant of the fact that different states have different state laws and different approaches. The focus that we've had is on compliance with federal labor rules. And I believe that when we put the scoring criteria together that we do require of states, it was only to the extent that they are required to consider federal compliance with federal law. Beyond that, different states are going to take different approaches. We know that. We've tried to give states a fair amount of flexibility in the way that they've implemented it. We're not strong-arming or pressuring them in any way on those issues. But compliance with federal labor law is actually a requirement.
Let me follow up on the question then. If a state includes only what is required by law, will NTIA approve that state's plan, or will you reject a plan that does not include any of the organized labor provisions included in your Notice of Funding Opportunity?
I'd have to think. We always have to look at the totality of the plan. The short answer should be yes, but I just want to note that there are some requirements when states reject certain kinds of provisions that they provide an explanation of why they've done that. And so that would be potentially a piece of this, but I'd have to look at the details to know if that's in fact true in this case. But so I don't want to just give you a blanket answer, but the intent is to be able to get to that place that you've just said.
Well, I think in conclusion, I want NTIA to focus on bringing broadband to the unserved. Adding in all of the social engineering policies distracts from deploying broadband, will likely make broadband deployment more expensive and unnecessarily slow down deployment. And you can see the conundrum. Arizona state law says one thing, but if NTIA is going to pressure the states into doing these labor agreements that aren't allowed by Arizona law, it kind of puts us at a disadvantage.
Well, and I'll certainly say we have always built this program with a strong understanding, first of all, that different states have different laws and we need to understand those, respect those approaches. And then the other thing is we are laser focused on trying to get this money out the door as quickly as we can and help states build networks for the people who need them as quickly as possible while being good stewards of taxpayer money. That's our focus. It'll continue to be our focus.
Good, and I hope you allow the states to do what they will do according to their own laws. And thank you, and with that, I yield back.
The lady's time has expired,